my junkies, how are you? I hope that you're doing well. Okay, so I have a beautiful video for you today, and it's about objects, like particular things that might be blocking your prosperity and abundance. And I'm going to talk about like inanimate objects and things of that nature, and I'm going to really use my interior design degree. I have an interior design degree, but I also have one that is the psychology behind interior design. And so I want to kind of talk about that and kind of incorporate both of those topics along with, you know, law of attraction and vibrational energy and that kind of thing. Because this might be, I think that if it was very beneficial for me, I think that it might be extremely beneficial for you too. Now, so I'm going to share a little story with you. And I think on one of my other videos, I shared a story with you about when I moved into the cottage, my now husband, Jeffrey, my soulmate, he was never married, but he had, you know, like the mother of his child lived here, and there was other women that lived here too. And so, you know, if there's anything that you probably could be familiar with, if you have moved into a place that was already occupied by other people, so you have all of these different things to take on, right? Now, I'm one to believe that it's not necessarily, I think everything has energy and everything is vibrational, right? However, I think that sometimes things can come with negative energy, and some things build up over time, and some things we can actually have the control to create these barriers and this cleansing with these particular items. Like for instance, okay, so I think I may have shared this with y'all, but I'm going to share it again because I think it is just paramount and kind of giving you an idea about objects and furniture and different things like that that you have that are creating space in your home, right? So when I was going through the interior design, because I think that, you know, I've always been interested in the psychological aspect of different things in life. So when I'm going through my different classes and things like that, in order to get my degree, you know, when you get to towards the end, you have to take on particular projects, and you have to do these so that you can, it's kind of like a little synopsis, and then it's like a thesis sort of, right? My ex-husband and I would live in so many different places, right? And so I noticed right away that there was energy and vibrational energy that was carried along in these particular homes, whether it be someone that passed away in the home or, and I know it's actually a law that when you're purchasing a home, they have to tell you whether or not someone has passed away in that particular home, or whether or not, maybe not passed away, but I think if someone was murdered in a particular home, that they have to disclose that information to you. So anyway, I thought what I would do, because I was moving around so much with my ex, that I would use my mother as my kind of guinea pig, okay? And so we had to take a room, and it has a lot of different aspects of the degree that you get, but one of them is recognizing the feelings that you have in your heart for each particular client. And so basically what I did is I went to my mother's house, and I had her pick out a room that she wanted to actually like redo. Like there was, you know how like there's sometimes like, okay, let me give an example. So my mom had this issue. She had moved into my paternal grandmother's home, and took that over. Her and my dad purchased it before her passing, and there was a particular room that she never really liked. and she couldn't put her finger on it. And so I said, okay, well, let's go ahead and go through this particular room and we'll find out what the psychological thing is trying to tell you, you know, behind the room and the placement and the furniture and all those different things, right? This is so interesting, isn't it, you guys? I think it is, anyway. So we went through the room and everything, and what we recognized not only was the furniture, there was too much furniture, and the furniture in the room had been passed along from several different family members in that home. And I think also it was the fact that so often in life, and I know I've been a guilty party of this as well, is that when you're moving to a new place, or say you're just married, you're a newlywed, and you don't have many items in your house, right? You know, some people may give you things, or some people may, you might have inherited certain items and then you have those for your house, right? And so a lot of times what will happen is that we will take on that particular vibrational energy that is from that piece of that object or whatever it is. So when we do that, it creates this blocking for us psychologically, and we aren't able to receive abundance and prosperity in our lives. And we don't think that this is actually doing anything to us. Like, you know, you might have a storage room and you've got stuff packed to the ceiling, or you have an attic that, like, it's no, you know, out of sight, out of mind. But actually what happens is your things and the way that you collect things, the way that you store things, the way that you have things placed in your home are a direct reflection of something that's going on internally within you. Now, that's not to say that you have to go and purge all the time and never have any particular items, right? But the main reason that people want to purge is they either want a fresh start, right? Because when you relinquish that, you're releasing bondage. And it also is allowing the universe to reward you abundantly and in prosperity. And the reason is because it creates this open vessel, this open space for you to receive. Because think about it, if you have a room full of furniture, and it might not even be furniture that you like going back to my mother's situation, it was furniture that she couldn't place her finger on what was causing her to have she didn't like it. I mean, she would change out the comforter sets numerous times, beautiful ones, Ralph Lauren ones, custom ones, and she just didn't like the room. And we discovered that, you know, I don't know how she's dealt with that now, but my analysis for the particular room was that there was one thing, there was too much furniture in there. The other is that the type of style of furniture and the amount of pieces, well, I just said that, too many pieces, but the type of style of furniture and the coloring of it really was something I think that she didn't care for at the time. And so we kind of went back to trying to remember, or trying to get her to surface that particular reason why she wasn't, you know, taking likely to that particular color and the style and all of that. And what we came to the conclusion of was that it represented her childhood, and she felt like it was dark and dreary, and that the furniture was too dark for her. So my mom is a really, she loves light, airy, like wicker and light types of furniture, light rooms, light colors and things. That's what actually feeds her soul. And so that is exactly what was happening. You know, when you put dark colors in there, dark furniture, too much furniture into a room, and it's not something that you vibe with and you don't like it, but you force yourself to go, I'm just gonna have to live with it until I get new. And so that's the second thing I'd like to touch on, is that, and I've dabbled with this back and forth for years after I had my degree, because I've moved so many times, right? And I've purged and relinquished like everything. I've had estate sales and got rid of like almost everything that we owned. And then I've kept pieces, and then I've gotten rid of some pieces and then wished I had them back. And anyway, so, you know, the jaunt goes on. But my whole point for number 2 is that take an analysis, take a, you know, go through, and you don't have to, I mean, you can spend a lot of time, especially, you know, when it's coming to the end of the year and the new year is coming upon us, and this is a beautiful time to purge. And I'm not saying that you have to, I'm just saying that I'm giving you these ideas of maybe this is something that you might want to look at. Number 2 is I want you to get a sheet of paper, and you can start with one room, you know, the room that bothers you, and this is how you determine how you want to go. The room that bothers you the most, you know that there's a vibrational energy when you go into a room. And if you feel like you're like, I don't know what it is about this room, but I just don't like it. Like, is it the way that it's faced? You know, I mean, you could say it could be all these feng shui things, but the majority of the thing is nothing can be put on us in a powerful nature, right? Unless we welcome it. So just remember that things can't like, you know, even if it's, you know, you say it's possessed or whatever, unless we allow that thought processes and that energy to come into our energy frequency, it has no power over us. Like, people can't put spells on us unless we allow them to, or we occupy that thought process for a while, and then we get a momentum, and it actually can start to work, if that makes any sense. Because like, all negative energy is a collective consciousness of people that have thought that particular type of thing. Like, if you feel like it's an inanimate object or a piece of furniture, you know, it may be that, say for instance, there was there was abuse and the person was hit with the object. And if that stuff isn't cleared out, that consciousness stays, that vibration stays within that object. And you might not believe this, and you might think it's like hokey pokey and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine, you know, it's not for everyone, but I completely believe in it just from my own personal experience. So what you want to do is you take your piece of paper and you pick your room, and then you start deciding what is it in that room, and this is how you're going to clarify and recognize what it is. And as the more you narrow it down, I should probably do a little series of this, because it ends up being a lot more of a process than just clearing out a room and getting rid of things, right? There's a way that you place furniture, there's a way that you put certain things in certain rooms, and don't block doorways and things like that, right? But anyway, go ahead and write down the objects that are in that room. You don't have to clear them out or anything. This is just your first mental part of like, you know, throwing things overboard mentally, okay? So write down all of the furniture, and write down the things that come to your attention immediately. Like, that nightstand, I can't stand it. I always bump my toe on it, or it doesn't have a drawer in it and I don't like it because I can't tuck, you know, the remotes in it, or I don't have enough lighting in here, and every night I'm trying to fumble around and find a little, you know, reader's light. And or it could be like, oh, I don't like that type of curtain. Like, those were in the apartment when we moved in, and I just don't like the style of them, you know. Or there were blinds in the window, and you're just not a curtain or a blinds person. Maybe you just like the windows open, you know. So these are all little things that you can do. You know, even look at the wall color on the paint on the wall, you know, the wall color. And if you don't like that, you know, and I do have some solutions too. If you live in an apartment and you're not allowed to paint, because I've had that experience as well, and there's some little tricks that you can do for design-wise that will kind of almost mask that, and you wouldn't even notice it. So anyway, so I would suggest that you do that for number 2, is like, go through your entire room and then go through each room of your house. And eventually, what I would love to see you do, and this is what I've been doing for the last, just, you know, over the weekend and these last couple of days, is that I've been, I kept having this issue with particular rooms in the house, like they didn't have enough lighting, and I kept trying to make do, or I'd move a lamp around and put a lot of lamps in there, and then I didn't like that one lamp and the style was terrible. And this is what a lot of people do, and I found myself doing it again because I was going back. I forgot that, like, Raquel, you went to school for this, figure this out, but I was trying to make do with what was in the room already. So if there's a piece of furniture and you're just like, oh, you know what, I can't stand that piece of furniture, but I don't have anything to replace it now, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Well, number one, that is the worst thing that you can do, because I'll give you an example. You're gonna wanna purge, okay? And I know this is kind of drastic for some people because there's a psychological attachment to things. People do a lot of attachments to things in life. And so when you're becoming more enlightened and you're having your transformation and you're on this journey, you're going to recognize that there's this cleansing going on, and this could be one of the things that are blocking you from getting your desires in life and manifesting things. So I'll give you an example. Okay, so back in the day when I probably was married about 6 years, I think, 6 years or 7 years or something. And we had moved to Utah, and we didn't have, I don't know if I had gotten rid of, I think we were getting a new mattress is what it was. We had gotten a mattress from my ex's parents, and so we didn't have a bed frame. But I didn't want just any bed frame. I wanted an old Victorian wrought iron bed frame. And so my ex-husband was just like, just make do with this. We don't have the money to do that. We just moved and we have all these expenses and blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, very negative beliefs about money to begin with anyway. So that's a whole nother video. So, but I said no, because I knew that I remember being in school and it was like, if you don't like something or you don't have something yet, okay, don't substitute something when there's something else that you truly desire. And the reason I say this, and the number one reason that most people, almost all people do this, to be honest with you, is because it is an internal belief that we have that we don't deserve. Because it's a self-worth issue. I know, isn't that funny? That things can have this connection and it be about self-worthiness. Listen, I'm the pro on understanding everything about self-worthiness, you guys. So my head is shiny because I just applied all my essential oils for my meditation and stuff. But anyway, it's about self-worth and not feeling worthy. Or the other thing that other people think about is, well, the real bed that I really, really want is like $5,000, and there's no way we're going to be able to afford that anytime soon. And do you understand what I just said? Is if you're telling yourself that, you will never have enough money to get that bed frame that's $5,000. If you're talking to yourself that way internally, that is what you're vibrating out energetically into the universe. And so, of course, the universe is going to give you exactly what you believe. And so if you believe I'll never be able to have enough money to get a $5,000 bed, then you will never have a $5,000 bed. So what we did when we moved there is I said, no, I am going to save up and wait to get exactly what I want. And if we have to put the mattress on the floor and live like that, that's what we're going to do. Because what happens is every time you go into that room and you see like, oh, my mattress is on the floor, my mattress is on the floor, you're more inclined to make that you're very inclined to put that on your goal and desire of manifesting at the top of the rung. Because think about it. If you already had a bed frame, are you gonna be more likely to think of other stuff that, like that Louis bag that you want? Or are you gonna be more inclined to think about a bed frame because every time you walk in your bed or get in your bed, it's on the frickin' floor? You know, that is actually a beautiful, beautiful tip for you to remember when manifesting. So yes, if that means that you don't have those beautiful custom curtains or drapes in your house for 5 years, then don't put anything up there. Don't put a bed sheet. Don't put if you're gonna do a bed sheet, make it at least look nice. You know what I mean? Like, make sure you have somebody, you can thread it through, the top of it, you can just thread it through, and you could put, hang it in your window, and anybody can cut, just rip it or on the bias, and you can have curtains there. Always remember too, guys, don't ever use color in your windows unless it's white or ecru, like a eggshell. It's the biggest no-no you can do. If you're gonna have drapes and they're beautiful, get lined ones that have the white on the back. Or, if you're gonna have beautiful velvet drapes, make sure that your cream, like your lace curtains or something, are always cream or ecru or white. That's just a big tip. Like, you drive up to someone's house, the first thing that you notice is the exterior of the house. It could look like a dump inside, but you would never know it if the outside is darling. It's first impressions. Remember that. Always first impressions. So if you're trying to sell your house, that's a number one thing to remember. Like, people see your yard first, right? And they see your house first. So remember to have cute little neutral curtains. Okay, that was just off the side thing, but that was just something I thought of. I don't know why. We're talking about houses, and I think that's why I was saying that. But anyway, so that was tip number 2. And tip number 3, your treasure trove tip for number 3 is just remember that in order for us to manifest prosperity and abundance and all of our desires, in our beautiful list that we put on our vision board, that in order for us to get these things and to manifest these things into our life, we have to create new beautiful belief systems about money and about prosperity. And we also have to relinquish all that dead weight, all of those old things. Take each object in your house, and if it's something that you are not like absolutely unbelievably in love with the item, or it has sentimental value to you and you think it's wonderful, it might be a little trinket or something, but you just absolutely adore it, all these things will always work together, as far as like if you say, well, that's not the style of my house, or that's not the style I'm going with, and this is totally different. You can always, when you are being you and you are using your own style, you can always make anything work. I have Victorian in this house, and this is more aligned to be a very tribal type, mid-century modern is what it is. You can kind of lean towards that way, which that's kind of for the selling aspect of it. I'm trying to lean more towards that, like the style and the way that I paint and everything and how I decorate it. But that's only because we're planning to sell the house and we're not planning to stay here permanently. So I keep a lot of my beautiful Victorian things along with tribal things, and they've worked beautifully. They're perfect. I love them. And so, that's been a really cool thing too, is because when I got my divorce, I was sort of forced to have to start over. And so that has been a huge awakening for me as far as bringing abundance and prosperity in. And just think about those things, and I hope these things served you. And this video has been so fun, and I loved it. And if you would like to carry on this conversation longer, go to my fan page on Facebook, which is Raquel Margaret Carter, or my Instagram. And I'm going to be writing a blog post as well that's going to go further in detail. I'm going to give the 7 steps to creating abundance and prosperity. So Yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope this served you, like I said. And as always, I'm yours until my next swim. Ciao.